one IDF soldier tragically lost his life in the fighting, but the IDF says it has managed to kill or capture over 100 terrorists during this operation over the past few days. Is this a turning point, do you think, in the war?
No, unfortunately I don't. I think as long as the forces are there, there will be continuous sad incidents of these soldiers getting killed. Yesterday a soldier was killed in an operational accident, today by an explosive device. As long as the forces remain on the ground, these threats are going to persist. Now, the forces themselves, high-ranking commanders, are saying that their main objectives have been completed. They cannot achieve any more strategic advances on the ground, but in the absence of a decision to remove the forces from the Gaza Strip, then they will continue with these tactical operations. But as long as the forces are there, they continue to gather intelligence and to expose further cynical use of Hamas, of Gazan strategic civilian infrastructure. I want to take a look. Let's take a look at footage that was recorded by Hamas, obtained by the IDF, of Hamas operatives planting explosive devices, explosive barrel, right, 45 meters away from the Indonesian hospital. That is the last remaining operational hospital in northern Gaza. Now, for example, if there were to be an airstrike right now, these are Hamas operatives in civilian clothing. They're in the death toll, they would be counted as civilians, right, obviously, according to the Hamas-controlled health ministry in Gaza. But once again, just days, fewer than 24 hours after the IDF announced it completed an operation in the Kamal Adwan hospital that was claimed to become Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad command center, over 240 terror operatives were apprehended there. Now we see also the Indonesian hospital. Every single civilian sensitive infrastructure, schools, hospitals, mosques, you name it, they're all being used by Hamas as cover for their terror activity.
And that is not the story that's making its way into the international media, sadly. Israel is once again being criticized for targeting, as they put it, hospitals. But just in terms of the north of Gaza, because this has been something of a sticking point in the hostage negotiations, as far as we know, Hamas is insisting that it wants to return large numbers of civilians to northern Gaza. Israel has this very wide area, the Netzarim corridor, so it can control who goes back and forth. But what would that mean in terms of the long-term risk for Israel if large numbers of people were able to move back?
Well, the threat for Israel in northern Gaza is the close proximity to numerous communities that are placed alongside the border. That was an easy exit from those Gaza towns in the northern part of the Strip to enter those communities. A very short distance. It took Israeli forces a long time, as we know, obviously on October 7th, to simply block the advance and forces from the Gaza Strip. And so Israel wants to ensure not only in the Gaza Strip, but it's doing that also in southern Lebanon and also what we're seeing in Syria. Israel's new strategy moving forward is attempted to create buffer zones, but also to remove any potential threat directly on its border. These areas of northern Gaza are in the closest proximity to Israeli communities.